If you try buying a home, you try saving up, you make 60, 70, $80,000 a year, and you still cannot break through. I'm gonna tell you why. The reason that I'm gonna give you in the next 60 seconds is not what you think. But I will tell you, it is not you. It's not you at all. And I know people say stuff like that all the time, but in this case, I am so serious. Because in the next couple minutes, I'm going to show you exactly where the numbers stop working and how you can start using that in your favor. And then you're going to understand how it's actually easier than you even thought. So, let me actually sit here and describe where you're at right now. You probably work at Amazon. You probably make $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and you probably think buying a home is completely out of reach. It's not something you could ever attain to or dream of. But in all reality, on paper, you feel like you should be closer than you actually are. You get on Zillow, you scroll, you probably stay in a rental that you pay too much money for. If you make 50 to 60K a year, you're probably paying $1,400 to $1,700 a month in rent. Okay. You're scrolling on Zillow, you're looking at homes that you probably can't afford, but you really do love. You just know that you can't really get it right now, and you're thinking about it really hard. If that's you, this is the video for you. This is what you need to watch, because what I'm gonna say is gonna stop making this so confusing. Finally, you're gonna be able to understand, and you're gonna be able to break through, and you're gonna be able to do things that other people in your community aren't doing, and you're gonna be able to show people how they could actually make more money on paper. You're going to show people how they could actually afford more home on paper. You're going to be the person that people need to see, that to know that this is actually possible. And that is where you are actually closer than you ever even thought. So first, I'm going to break. In Chicago, things are so expensive for a few reasons, but I'm going to break down the top ones right here, and we're going to start with property taxes. Property taxes in Chicago have continued to rise and rise and rise. They are skyrocketing. So a $250,000 home in Chicago can feel like a normal payment somewhere else in America, but out here in Chicago, property taxes alone might add $500 to $800 a month alone, just by property taxes. And it's not really manageable for people in your budget range. It's hard, it's difficult, it's something that we try to work towards, but it's getting further and further out of reach every single day. And people are getting squeezed right here before we even get anywhere else. If you're somebody that you're looking to buy your first home and you make $50,000 to $70,000 a year, you probably qualify for somewhere between $1,200 and $1,400 in mortgage in house per month. You can't afford to pay $500 to $800 a month in property taxes. It's just out of hand. So let's stack something else on top of it. Now we're going to talk about interest rates. This is where things get a little bit chaotic, but you have to think of it like this. If interest rates are 6.125%, that starts to add up over time. And people don't know that the same payment that would have been $1,200 2-3 years ago might easily be $2,200 to $2,400 today. It's one of those things where we don't talk about it, but prices are rising and we don't have any control over it, and nobody is even answering why or offering any solutions. But prices are rising, and it's not made up. This is not in your head. This is why you feel broke, because everything is rising. Inflation is impacting you, and we can't really do much about it. This is the part that is going to actually be the thing that sucks the most, because a lot of people can actually afford home. Taxes don't hold them back, but what they don't realize until they actually get pre-approved is that we have an open inventory crisis. So the homes that you see online, by the time you could even get your offer in on the property, they're gone. How do you handle this when you're scrolling on Zillow every single day? So you get tricked and triggered into the rent trap, and you start paying somebody else's mortgage, and you pay their mortgage. every single day. Every single month. This is where things start to feel impossible, because when you're paying somebody else's mortgage, you're paying rent, and it makes it harder to save, it makes it harder to accumulate wealth, it makes it harder to bargain and leverage for the home that you need. So, let's close the loop. Because in my opinion, people they look at the scenario all wrong. We live in a space where, yes, we might have an open inventory crisis. Things are too high. Everything is more expensive. But the real question is not, can this be done? It's what has to be done differently so I can make this work for me. What's my point of leverage? Where can I get my most return? How can I actually beat the system? How can I make the system move and work for me? Because once you flip that coin, you start to see that there's a completely different story, and there's a completely different radar that most people don't miss. You can't wait for the perfect listing. You can't wait for the perfect pre-approval. You can't wait for the perfect interest rate. You can't wait for the perfect asking price. You have to negotiate. You have to shoot. You have to place offers. You have to get pre-approved and go get pre-approved with multiple places and negotiate amongst your lenders how you can get a better rate or a better monthly payment, or you could negotiate anything. But once you start realizing that with seller credits, you can get to the closing table with less money at the close. With lender credits, you can get decent rates, you can beat the market, you can beat estimates, and with down payment assistance, you can get in for almost less than $1,000. We live in an environment where everyone wants you to think that it's harder to buy a home, because we have these institutions who are designed and cater to buying up single family homes and homes for families and people and humans, and they're buying them up and they're renting them out to you. They're applying that rent pressure. See, what I call it is the rent trap. You have these companies, I just call them all BlackRock, but they're not all BlackRock. They will buy up as many homes as they can and sell them off to investors who just rent them out, and they're lifelong investors. But what they want is, they want you to think that obtaining a home is too far out of reach. It's not. You have down payment assistance, you have negotiation room, you have ways to get into units that you would have never thought of before, but you need the resources. You need somebody to help you understand what you have access to and how you can move forward and how you could actually achieve more and do more and be better. Be you. Do what you believe, because I think that more people can afford more home than they even know, but they're too scared to actually take the leap and take the jump and go do what they need to do to actually get the home, get in the home. You got to actually get in the home, Bookie. So what I would say is, you're not broke, you're not behind, you're just trying to solve a problem before you actually even know what's going on and how it works and how the system is working against you. But also, if you know how to leverage it, you can figure out how to make it work for you. You have to flip the script and change your mind in order to buy a home. And I know that can be really frustrating, because a lot of people watching this are thinking, I can never buy a home. But I personally, I know that you all will go out and you'll pay $4,500, $5,500, $6,500 for a security deposit, 2 months rent, and a move-in fee. So I know that you can afford a down payment. I think that a lot of things holding people back from buying a home is not necessarily the fact that they think that they're broke. You're not as broke as you think. If you're working, you're already doing better than a lot of people in your situation. If you have a job, you're already doing 10 times better than you think. Now, let's say you have a job and you've been working on that job for 2 years. You're already doing better than more people than you think. Now, let's say you have a job, you've been working on that job for 2 years, and your credit is over a 580. You've already cleared most of the barriers that most people think that they can't buy a home. Now, let's say you have a job, you've been working on it for 2 years, and your credit is above 580, and you have around $5,000 saved. Now you're in eligible range for down payment assistance. You see how things are working? You have to get out there and get your money. You have to earn it. But also, you have to understand that people have spent their entire life telling you that nothing in your life comes free. No money is free. But you can get down payment assistance in the form of a forgivable loan. I call that free money. Seller credits, when a seller just says, well, I'll cover this or I'll do this so we can take the burden off and get to the closing table. That's free money. You have to get out there, find free money, go make it work, go close deals with other people's money, and you will be able to buy a home. I promise. It's just not going to be in the conventional way. You're not going to find a home in the way that your grandparents did, where you would go to work, you would get your weekly pay, you would put it in an envelope, and then eventually you would take that little $10,000 and you would go buy yourself a 3, 4, 5 bedroom house. It doesn't work like that anymore. It won't ever work like that again. And if you think that that's coming back, or you're waiting for a crash, or you think that eventually the market's going to die down and you're going to be able to get in for dirt cheap, I'm here to tell you. I'm going to put my hand out and I'm going to put it out like an old church mother. I'm here to tell you, baby. The market is never going to die down in a way that it did back in 2008 or 1920. It will never happen again. So if you're waiting for that to buy a home, you will never buy a home. So what you need to do is you need to go get pre-approved and buy a home and then refinance when that crash comes. But I highly doubt it will ever be here. It's not coming back. They won't let it. Ever. They will never let that happen again. I promise. Okay.